An electrician apprentice starts around $39,000 a year. A master electrician who goes independent can bill $85 to $150 an hour. Same trade, same license path. Wildly different numbers depending on one decision. Do you stay an employee or do you start your own business? Today we're breaking down both sides, what electricians actually earn on the job and exactly what it takes to start your own electrical contracting business, dollar by dollar. Let's start with the baseline. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual wage for electricians was $62,350 as of May 2024. Half of all electricians earned more than that, half earned less. The bottom 10%, typically first and second year apprentices, earned under $39,130. The top 10%, usually journeymen or masters in specialized commercial or industrial work, earned over $106,030. Job growth is strong too. BLS projects 9% growth from 2024 to 2034, close to 3 times the average for all occupations, with about 81,000 openings projected every year. A lot of that demand right now is coming from data center construction. Electrical work makes up a massive share of those project budgets, and it's pulling wages up in some markets well above the national median. So as an employee, the ceiling is real, but it takes years of experience and specialization to get there. The other path to that ceiling, often faster, is going independent. Here's the shift. A licensed electrician working for someone else earns a wage. A licensed electrical contractor running their own business earns a rate. And that rate, in a lot of markets, runs $85 to $150 an hour for licensed residential and commercial work. That's not take-home profit. Overhead eats into it. But it's the reason so many electricians eventually go out on their own. Let's walk through what that actually takes. Before you can run an electrical business, you need to be licensed. And this is where it gets state-specific. Some states license electricians at the state level. Others, like New York, have no statewide license at all. It's handled city by city, with different experience and exam requirements in each jurisdiction. As a rough range, licensing and certification fees typically run $200 to $2,500, and most states also require a certain number of documented field hours, often several years, under a licensed electrician before you can sit for a contractor-level exam. Some states also require a surety bond. California, for example, requires a $25,000 bond on file. You're not depositing that full amount. You're paying an annual premium that's a small percentage of it, priced mostly on your credit. Bottom line, check your specific state and city before you do anything else. This step alone can take months. Once you're licensed, the business side looks like most small contracting businesses. Choose a structure. Most electricians form an LLC, which separates personal and business assets. Filing costs typically run $50 to $500 depending on the state. Get an EIN from the IRS, free and needed to open a business bank account. Register locally, city or county business license, plus any local tax registration. None of this is expensive on its own. The real cost shows up in the next 2 steps: insurance and equipment. Electrical work carries real risk: fire from a wiring error, electrocution, arc flash injuries. That risk is exactly why electrical contractor insurance costs more than a lot of other trades. Here's what you typically need. General liability. Most clients and general contractors require $1 million per occurrence, $2 million aggregate. Averages run roughly $1,000 to $30,500 a year, though some sources report electricians paying closer to $57 a month for GL, specifically once you factor in smaller policies for solo operators. Workers' compensation, legally required once you hire anyone. Rates run $4 to $9 per $100 of payroll, on the higher end because of electrocution risk. Commercial auto, for the work vehicle, roughly $200 to $3,000 a year. All in, total annual insurance costs for a small electrical business, typically land somewhere between $4,000 and $12,000, depending on your state, crew size, and the type of work you take on. Now the big one, total startup cost. If you're starting completely from scratch, vehicle, tools, insurance, licensing, and enough working capital to survive slow months before jobs start paying, most estimates land in the $60,000 to $100,000 range for a full first-year setup. Some sources push that range as high as $200,000, depending on the vehicle and equipment tier you choose. But that number changes a lot if you're not starting from zero. If you already own a suitable vehicle and a solid personal tool set from years working as an employee, one detailed state-level breakdown put a solo operator's realistic startup cost as low as $19,000 versus over $95,000 for a fully equipped operation with a service vehicle and employees from day one. That's the real takeaway on startup cost. It's less about the trade and more about how much you're bringing to the table already versus building from nothing. Last piece. Work doesn't show up automatically once you're licensed and insured. The most common first-year strategy isn't advertising to homeowners, it's building relationships with general contractors. One strong GC relationship, doing reliable subcontract work, can sustain an entire first year while you build a reputation and a client base of your own. From there, most electricians layer in direct residential and commercial clients and eventually specialize. EV charger installation, solar integration, or commercial tenant improvements tend to command higher rates than general residential service calls. So here's the real economics of being an electrician, top to bottom. As an employee, $62,350 median, strong growth outlook, real ceiling above $100K with experience and specialization. Going independent, 150-hour billing rates, but $60,000, $100,000 plus to get a business properly set up, or as little as $19,000 if you're not starting from zero. The biggest lever isn't the trade itself. It's licensing timelines, insurance costs, and whether you're bringing existing tools and a vehicle to the table. This is the pattern across every trade we're going to cover on this channel. The wage number is just the starting point. The real story is what it costs to go from employee to owner. If you're an electrician thinking about going independent, or you're just trying to understand the real numbers behind the trade, subscribe, because next episode we're doing the same breakdown for plumbers. Drop a comment. Is anyone here already running their own electrical business? What did we get right? What did we miss?